It's not only students heading back to class today, but so are thousands of New York City school teachers. They're also celebrating a big victory after an independent arbitrator sided with them over the city's vaccine mandate.
Sure did. The mandate for teachers is scheduled to go into effect 2 weeks from today. So what does all of this mean for teachers and students? Here to break it down, Teachers Union President Michael Mulgrew. He joins us now live from PS 51 on the west side to talk to us about this. Good morning. Always good to see you.
Good morning. Nice to be here this morning.
Yeah, on the first day of school. Okay, so let's talk about this. The deadline for teachers to get vaccinated is September 27th. Explain what Friday's decision by the arbitrator means.
First, I'll get into Friday's decision. First, to all the teachers and parents, it's Happy School Day. I want to thank them for all they're doing. I'm just in PS 51. There's a school across the street, and all I hear from the teachers is, we got this. We're here for the kids. We will take care of this. And that's why, you know, what we did with the arbitration, it was sad that we had to go to arbitration, but with the vaccine mandate, the mayor's position, the city's position was that even if you have a medical reason for not taking the vaccine, or you have taken the vaccine but you have no immune system, or you have a religious reason, the mayor wanted to take you off of wanted to take those folks off of payroll. And that's just wrong. And what we should have learned throughout this pandemic, and what this country needs a lot more of, is a little more humanity. Because these are not these are folks who really have medical issues, and saying I'm going to take you off of payroll was quite disgusting that was the city's position.
Yeah, so Mr. Mulgrew, you know, I think I spoke to the chancellor this morning, who said she does not think there's going to be a teacher shortage or anything. How many teachers are actually, do you know, will be removed from a classroom because of a health reason, or they're not getting that vaccine? How many?
I have, you know, we have to wait. You know, medical information is personal and it's protected, and the application process started yesterday and people started applying, and we'll look at the numbers. I think it's going to be somewhat, you know, I don't want to guess because it's really about people's own medical conditions. Yeah. My bigger concern is on September 28th, when those who don't qualify for exemptions or accommodations and they're not allowed into the school buildings, myself and the president of the principals union have already sent a letter to the city because we can't get an answer. What is in place? What is the plan if we have schools that are missing 10 or 15% of their staff because they do not want to be vaccinated? What is the plan for us to make sure our schools are safe? Today, we can see, you know, thousands of teachers volunteered to train in all the safety things that need to be done in a building, and we see all of that work paying off, and we don't want it to go by the wayside because the city doesn't have a plan. We have a plan to train our folks to get them there, but now the city has to give us a plan, which they have not done.
All right, let me ask you this, though, and speaking of numbers, the Department of Education says about 75% of staff are vaccinated, but the union says that number is actually much higher. So where does that number stand, and why is there a discrepancy?
Yes. Oh, the discrepancy is the city will verify this to you. They forgot to count teachers for 5 weeks at the height of the vaccination period. So we knew at that point we were running our own vaccination program, and we were filling every slot on a weekly basis. So we're very comfortable. We're between 80 and 85%.
80 and 85%. Okay, well, that's a good number.
It is a good number indeed, sir. And so we do know that
that's
every
the highest one in the city.
Yeah, every teacher that will be in a classroom after September 28th will, in fact, be vaccinated. There is this whole conversation playing out from teachers who have reached out to me, and as well as parents, that they want a remote option. Chancellor saying this morning that's not an option. Do you think that there should be a remote option? Where does the UFT stand on this?
We've always said there should be a remote option. We knew we needed a remote option, and no matter what the mayor keeps saying, we do have children who are being taught remotely this year. We have medically fragile children. We are going to have classrooms shut down for quarantining purposes. We just finished a negotiation with the city that that means that every teacher in New York City has to have their digital classroom set up for remote instruction. So it's really going to come down to the parents. If we find out the attendance over the first couple of weeks has dropped significantly, and we're confirming that these children aren't going to any school, their parents just don't feel comfortable, then we're going to have to do something, because I'm not going to sit here and say, listen, it's your political perspective and opinion, but I'm not comfortable with letting 100,000 children stay at home and not get any education. So it really will come to that. That will really dictate it,
We'll see how it plays out. All right, UFT President Michael Mulgrew, as always, good to see you. Thank you for joining us today on the first day of school.
And thanks to all the teachers that are there in a classroom today doing their best. Thank you so much.